So today we're going to be making a T-Rex type dinosaur. I thought we'd go for. I'm going to go for orange on this one. Actually, I started off with a brown and went very kind of naturalistic, and sometimes I'm guilty of going for what nature says. But really, you can make it nice and cartoony. So you can see we've got a bipedal dinosaur. So I thought it was something a bit different. I was going to make the Triceratops, as you can see the yellow one in the background, the test one, but I thought actually this would give us something different as well, although there would have been things with horns there as well, so that would have made a different build. But this is a question of getting some balance, and also it's just a little bit of colour blending as well, so I thought that'd be quite a nice thing to do today. So hopefully that'll be brilliant. So I'm going to go for orange. So okay, Matthew Pennington, I thought an orange one, and I might go for a sky blue kind of belly patch underneath as well. So but you can go for brown clay. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The colour can be whatever you like. It's to show you that you can do it in all sorts of different colours. So I'm going to go for an orange one. But you could go brown, pink, blue, whatever you like. You don't have to do exactly the same as me. And to be honest, I was running out a little bit of brown, so I thought I would use some orange. Something a bit brighter as well. I was yearning for a bit of colour today. Purple is great. And actually they're saying, some paleontologists are saying that actually T-Rex may, along with stripes and feathers, may also have been between a brown and a kind of purple colour. So so actually we're all right. Mine's pink, that's brilliant. Excellent. Beautiful zoo and fun for children and creative adults. Fine finger work. That's really nice of you to say. Aquatics, thank you. Lovely. So I've got my menagerie. I'm having a bit of a throwback Thursday. In fact, I've been having a bit of a throw up Thursday as I've damaged my iPad. I've not had that long, so that's quite upsetting. So I've been taking pictures of all of the different creations we've made so far, and I've put a scar on my orangutan's head there. Yes, I'll be putting those up later on as well. Spinosaurus is a very good dinosaur as well. In fact, you could make a Spinosaurus very easily from these kind of instructions as well. So I'm going to start off with roughly one strip, but again, it's all proportionate really. You can have blobs of clay and start from there as well. And as with all of these things, getting the clay nice and warm. I hope you're having a more successful day today than I have been having. So actually it was starting nice. About 20 minutes ago is when I dropped or over clamped my screen and then knackered it. So hopefully all will be well. Abby likes an orange Rex. Excellent. Brilliant. So this orange is quite firm, which is going to be good to keep our clay nice and solid. We're going to use some cocktail sticks, I think, inside the legs just to give a bit of support. But actually, if you go chunkier, you can see if I just lean into camera a second, I made a yellow test T-Rex, which has got significantly chunkier legs. And if I just adjust him, he stands really quite well without very much support at all. There we go. So somebody else likes Stegosaurus. Excellent. Stitch Swaps likes Stegosaurus. That could be something else we've done. There's plenty of dinosaurs still in the mix, so it could be drawn again. Who knows? But I'm going to start as it's orange with a kind of carrot shape, and I've got a few colours in there, so it's a little bit marbled. So I'm making a kind of big carrot shape, and this is going to be the body of our T-Rex. So nice fat carrot for carrot fans. And that's going to be our tail. And this is going to be the body. And what I'm going to do with the other end, the fat end, is then start to tease it out into a neck, like so. So we've just sprouted off from the main carrot to make a bit of a neck as well. You could add all sorts of texture, and having looked more into T-Rex, which I'm always happy to do. I was considered at one point studying paleontology, and I like to read lots of things about dinosaurs and the latest news as well. That's always interesting. So we've got a nice neck, and we've got a good tail to start off with. So there we go, something like that. Calming down now. So once you start with playing with plasticine, everything becomes all right. It's a minor technological disaster won't hold us back. So we have a nice neck, and I'm going to put some cocktail stick. In fact, let's measure up. You could fit a whole one. If you've got slightly shorter ones like I have, you could fit an entire stick into the body. And that's going to make it nice and rigid as well. That will mean you can't really position the neck once you've got it in there. George is loving the way I tease the clay. That's it's the only way to do it, George, is to mock it, tease it. Shouldn't beat it into submission, although you could do with a little mallet if you like as well. There we go, a nice neck and a little bit of stick poking out the top as well. And I'm going to lie that there on the table so you can see. I might support it like so. There we go. And I'm going to take half a strip. I'm just going to add that on there and work out roughly where half a strip is today. Stick that on. So if it does fall apart like this is snapped in the pack, you can just fold it over and tear it in half. There we go. And I want roughly half. In fact, I'm going to go for the broken half just to show you that it doesn't really matter about that. And just give it a good squeeze. I'm glad this is working for you, George. That's good. And talking of George, these are George's fabulous tools. We've got a horn tool and I think it's a lignum vitae tool, which is one of the hardest woods there is. So it's good sturdy wood. Used to be used in crown green bowls, and this is buffalo horn, and these are beautifully hand sculpted and sanded, polished by George, and you can see him on the timeline often making rude comments about my big head, and he's there, and you can contact him about buying tools. Very reasonably priced for a very beautiful handcrafted thing. So I should be using those today. He very kindly sent me them the other day, and I thought this would be a good time to use them. So I'm going to make the head of my T-Rex, and I'm going to go for a little fat carrot, a little chantenay carrot. There we go. So something like that, a really fat little carrot. And George will probably say something like, "You're a fat little carrot," I expect. And there we go, like that. Now you could have an open mouth as well. So you could use a tool to open it up. In fact, I might do that. So I'm going to get my tool in the mouth like so and open up the mouth, so you could put some teeth in if you wanted to as well. So just slicing down the end there and opening it up a bit like Pac-Man. So I'm feeling like a little bit of a change for this one. And you can do that as you go along. That's the great thing with clay. Is if you're not happy with it, you could just then close it back up again and repair the cut that you've made. But I think that's quite nice. And I might add it a bit deeper later on. Something like that. So what I'm going to do now is attach it to the body, and we have that cocktail stick, and we're going to slide it on like so. And then I'm going to join the two together, and using my fingers I'm going to smooth the clay across. You can use tools as well. Like I say, a paintbrush is a very good tool, or, well, actually, seeing as I've got them, I'm going to use George's tools in a minute just to kind of work around and make that as nice as possible. You can buy tools very cheaply from any art shop. Plastic ones will do the job, but wooden ones have got a really nice quality to them. And actually, the more you use them with things like Plasticine, because it's Vaseline based, or you can use, or if you use oil based clay, it actually feeds the wood, and they don't dry out as well. And same with horn. Horn is rather like a very smooth, slightly got plastic quality to it, but it won't scag up the clay, and it just makes a really nice tool. So I'm really opening it up. I'm going to open up the mouth a bit now as well, and can drop that jaw down like that, and gives us a nice open maw of a mouth as well, because that's mostly what you see pictures of T-Rex doing as well, you know, that kind of big Jurassic Park scream. Although, as I was saying before, that's actually technically Cretaceous Park. They're the wrong dinosaurs for the Jurassic period. It's only a small rub, but you know, I'm never going to quite let it go. So I'm going to then tweak out a bit of an eyebrow as well. So I'm going to see what I'm doing there. I get my thumb in around about where the eye would be and tease up an eyebrow. So you can see that from the front, and that's what it looks like from the side. And Divine Tunis has joined us. Hello, Divine Tunis, how are you doing? Very nice to see you again. And I'm going to do the same on this side and work out roughly where the eye is. As I say, we're doing a T-Rex, but you could do any kind of two-legged dinosaur if you like. You want to do an Albertosaurus or Spinosaurus. You could make a raptor like this as well. Anything you like, really. There we go. So we're getting a nice dinosaur-y mouth in there now, and eyebrows. So I'm just going to adjust that to make sure it's nice on the side. They've got a rather nice kind of crease in the back of the mouth as well, T-Rex, so they could really open up the jaw nice and wide. So, so there we go. It's kind of got a nice hinge look to it now. And I'm going to butt this up and start to create a bit of a nose now as well. As I say, you can spend a bit more time doing this, but we're starting to see a dinosaur appear. I'm doing good. Yeah, I've had a minor disaster with breaking my iPad, the backup camera, but I'm getting over that and having fun making dinosaurs. So it's a nice way to spend the afternoon. Lovely, and you can play around with the tail as well, the position of the tail. Depending on how chunky the legs are, it's all about getting balance with this really, but we've got a nice cartoon dinosaur shape there, I think. Quite liking that. And I'm going to give it, actually I'll come back to nostrils, eyes and nostrils a bit later on. Let's get on to the important bits like limbs. So we're going to put some little arms on. Got another half a strip here, and I'm going to take off about an inch or a couple of centimetres. Yeah, you're right. The velociraptors in Jurassic Park are too big. Velociraptors in real life are the size of a chicken or a turkey. That's right, actually. They're far too big. But you know, science changes, and it was only a movie. It's absolutely fine. It's not fine. I'll never let it go. So I'm making little carrots. In fact, maybe even smaller than this, like so. As I say, you can use any colour you like. So I'm sorry if you've chosen a brown one and you wanted to make an orange one now. You could always change that round or make two. That would be a great, make a whole mini Cretaceous Park. So you won't let it go. What I've done at the end of the carrot there, I've just pulled out almost like a fishtail look and made like those little goldfish crackers. I've made a pair of little fingers. So they have these kind of almost vestigial fingers, and I'm going to then start to make a forearm and then bend that arm over to give it a bit of an upper arm as well, which will attach on the side in a minute. So I'm going to make two of those. As I say, you could add texture to these as well. Hopefully those of you who made tortoises had fun with that as well, adding some other colours and blending those colours in. Remember, you can use it like almost like, I'll leave that bit there as a spare. You can treat it almost as an oil paint and smear two colours together as well. A bit like we did with the chameleons, if you had to go at making chameleons as well. Hoping Katie's new plaster has arrived. That'd be rather splendid if it has. Hi Andy, how you doing? Nice to see you again. And next Tuesday I'll be appearing on Andy's live Makers Market at home. He's also, I think, got a Makers Market on Saturday where you can tune in to his Instagram and see makers from all around the country showing what they're making, and you can go and buy from them as well. So that's rather nice. Home shopping at its finest as well. You might even get a glimpse of his ladder axe as well if you're very lucky. There we go. So nice pair of arms. Try and make sure they're the same, a left and a right, which I seem to have done. And I'm going to attach them on the front like so. So I've got a bit of a chest there as well, and smoothing the clay on to pull the clay across, knitting the clay together around the tops and smoothing it in, and then I'm going to use the tool to work my way around. And when you buy new tools, it's just getting used to them really. You'll find a tool that you really like and you use it time and time again. But certain tools make certain marks, and this one is really good for getting in. It's slim and spatula-like for getting into those difficult to reach parts of the armpits and the leg pits. It's a particularly good tool for that kind of thing. The other one, the wooden one, I'm going to probably use for getting indents around the eyes and for doing the nostrils as well, for jibbing. It's a good jibbing tool, as we said before. It's a technical term. And I'm going to add the other arm on, like so. And again, smoothing it around. Give a little bit of a shoulder as well if you like. So say you can go a little bit anatomical with it. I'm quite liking this in the orange actually. It's a nice shot of colour. And I tried to add that a little bit with the tortoise. Greens and browns and yellowy colours. But I think a real shot of orange today is making me feel a bit better about the world as well. Still nice weather out there as well. So hopefully you've all managed to get out for your daily exercise before this. What? Plasticine leg pits? That's what I call your crotch area. You've just got one leg pit really, as opposed to two armpits. I'll tell you about it another time. What plasticine would you recommend? Well, as we've just been talking about it, New Plast is what I use. You'll notice plasticine, but the stuff that's called plasticine is a little bit softer. You can order it direct from New Clay Products Limited. So I don't get paid for this. It just is what I've always used with Aardman and what I always order for myself. And they're a lovely little family company in Devon. You can call them direct or go on their website. Or I think they might be available on Amazon as well. There are plenty of Amazon sellers out there selling it as well. But I think New Plast itself, the New Clay, is the cheapest way of buying it. Could I add a turkey, not cooked, to the fish bowl? I shall certainly add that on. I spent quite a lot of time having to rewatch the broadcast yesterday to add all of your crazy creations. So you can see the goldfish bowl is filling rapidly. It's Paolo, how are you doing? Very nice to see you. Paolo and I used to work together many years ago on Shaun the Sheep, and he's an amazing artist and I'd say avant-garde furniture maker, object maker. Does incredible things. Go and have a look at his work as well. It's absolutely incredible. It's been a long time since I've seen him actually, so so it's nice to see him pop up on here. Shona, how are you doing? We're plenty of carrots in. We're 3 carrots in now. Did George end up in the bowl? Says Andy. Yes, he did. So the praying mantis George is in the bowl. So if he gets drawn, then we'll see what happens. Then I'll have to make him. As yet, little Jim hasn't been pulled from the bowl, so we're hoping for that to happen at some point. So I've got nice little arms in there now as well. Tempting to keep playing around with the face because that's the exciting bit, but I'm going to put some back legs on, which are actually very exciting as well. Just going to tease that tail up, and that will act as a counterbalance later on. There we go, yay, carrots. And Paolo's waving as well. Brilliant. So lots of familiar faces. Lovely. So I've got these 4 lines here. I'm going to use those to help me, a bit like a Kit Kat. And I'm going to wiggle the clay, separate it into 2 equal halves. And I'm going to squash those up. I'm going to remove, there's a little bit of green on there. I'm going to add an accent of green later on, but I don't want it right now. So I'm going to see what this will make for my legs. I might have to add a bit more clay on actually. I'm thinking this is going to be a bit small. In fact, yeah, I'm going to double up for now. And you can always add or remove clay as you go along. If you find that you've torn off too large a piece, then you can always go for a bit smaller as well. But I think it's good to make a sizable dinosaur. Or you can make lots of mini dinosaurs. So I'd probably end up with a meatball sized ball of clay. It's probably a good place to start, I think. And again, for you carrot fans out there, we're going to start with a kind of fat carrot shape like that. So I'm going to make 2 of those. Let's see if I've got enough clay. I think that's about the same. We'll squash that up and have a look. It's good to have a go and make the 2 basic shapes at the same time to let you know that you've got enough clay or the same amount of clay to make the limbs as well. Now it might be that these are too big, in which case we'll just remove a bit of clay. So I'm going to make 2 rough carrot shapes. Dinosaur army, absolutely, that'd be amazing. Lovely. Hiya Nikki, how you doing? So I'm making 2 very roughly shaped carrots. So make sure I got them the same. That's close enough, I think. So I'm going to take the first carrot and I'm going to start to tease out from the end 3 points. So 3 nice toes. So we have 1 toe. That's going to be our right or the left hand toe. I'm going to tease out a central toe and then I'm going to have a go at putting another toe on, like so. Try and get that into the middle of the carrot shape. It's a bit like a chicken foot now. So very bird-like, obviously, dinosaurs, because that's mostly what they evolved into. Some were more reptilian, and there are separate families of dinosaurs, but we're kind of going for that nice bird-like look. You could go and put nice, if you tap the ends of the toes like so, we can make them nice and stubby, because we then can put some nice terrible claws on there as well. Absolutely. Teasing the clay, but don't lose control with you. We want to keep control at this stage. That's the whole idea. Otherwise, it'll turn into a shocking mess. So I'm going to tease up the leg, squeeze up the leg, give it a bit of a knee, got a backwards knee, and then we're making that nice kind of drumstick shape to make the thigh. See if you can see that. So I'm just going to push the clay around and get it nice. It's very much like a chicken leg, really. You can see where the evolution has happened if you are into that. We won't get into theology today or evolution talk. Not everybody is a fan of that. This is not time for theology lesson. So there we go, a nice round drumsticky leg. There we go. So I'm going to make a second one just to show you again, and I'm going to tease out the end to make one of the side toes. I'm then going to tease out another piece of clay to make the central toe, and then squeeze out another one, pushing the clay up, and again working all the way around in 3 dimensions, for we are 3-dimensional, most of us. On occasion I've entered the 4th. There we go, nice round toes, and I'm blunting the ends because I think I'm going to put some nice claws on. So I do a test one the day before, and then things can change when we're actually doing the live build. So there we go, a nice pair of outside toes and a good central toe, nice pair of legs coming on, and I'm going to squeeze out the foot and make that lower part of the leg. And occasionally, this is a good example, you'll occasionally get a little bit of grit in there. That's a little bit of chalk. Now you can pick that out, and I'm going to use a tool, a George Watson tool, to remove that. Does no harm at all, just to pick it out, and then you can smooth it over. It's just a little bit of loose chalk that's not quite worked its way in over the process, but does no harm whatsoever. Thank you, Kamarazi. I think that's what I'm trying to read it off my. I've got light shining onto my phone, so I can just about make out writing as it travels up the screen. There we go. But thank you anyway, that's very kind of you. And hello. There we go. So making a good knee and then squeezing out that drumstick shape. So again, making sure you've got a left and a right foot. Make them nice and sturdy, not too thin. And I'm going to add those to my dinosaur. So I'm going to set the drumstick, so it looks a bit like a toy at the moment. Set the drumstick of the leg on there, and I'm going to push the clay onto the back of the body and then smooth it into the tail. And if it skags a little bit like that, that doesn't matter too much, because you're going to smooth it over afterwards. And then you can adjust the position of the leg to set the balance as well. So I think that looks quite good. It's quite upright. And this is where we're going to talk about the leg pits. So you've got armpits up here and you've got leg pits down here. There we go, and smoothing it in. Can I hold him up? Yes. Sorry, Andy, I get a bit lost sometimes in the making. It's such a nice thing to make that I almost forget to show you guys how to do it as well. Hopefully you're following along. As I say, this always goes straight onto the stories of the live section on there, so you can watch it again for a whole 24 hours. And as long as I haven't broken my iPad too badly, you can also then watch it on YouTube, or the 3-minute video or 4-minute speeded up video, which I'll put on IG Live in the morning. Connection depending and technology depending. There we go. So just make sure it's really, really well joined together, because we don't want it falling apart later on. There we go. I've got a little bit of travelling black that seems to have picked up. And again, you can use a tool to scrape off the surface. I often make a little razor-like tool, and you can use that to scrape the surface and get any dirt off there as well. There we go. So I'm just showing you on both sides. Don't worry about fingerprints at this stage. As I say, you could add a nice texture to it later on. So this one, the trickiest thing is getting the balance right, really. So we're going to get the legs well attached and then set to balancing. Now you could always make a rock as well to balance the tail on, and that will really help you as well. A bit of scenery wouldn't go amiss, in case you've got your clay too warm and you end up with floppy legs. Now what you can do is add, I'm going to use this other tool now, try and work in there, because I think that might be a bit better for jibbing around in the leg pits. There we go, like so. So it's quite undignified for our dinosaur butt, if you like. There we go, fiddling around the dinosaur butt. You can open up the legs and get your fingers in there as well and just smooth that in. Make sure it's really well joined in. If you don't do the inside of the legs, that's where it's most likely to fall apart. Brilliant. And make sure the feet are nicely spread apart. There we go. Now, I'm going to actually do something rather brutal now. And if you see, you've got a straight line that runs actually through the middle of the leg there, or hopefully you can adjust it to that. And I'm actually going to put some bones into the leg. So I'm going to reach across the screen and grab a couple of cocktail sticks. I'll put a few down here so my arm isn't covering the screen for the whole thing. What happens if it's too front heavy? Then you can adjust it, but I would recommend making a rock that you can attach the tail to, and that will help to counterbalance. So what I'm doing now is just putting a stick through the leg, and I'm going to push it down until it reaches into the body, and there's just a little bit of stick on the bottom of the foot there. And the narwhal video is up, actually. Yes, Jim Parkyn's right. You can have a look on YouTube, and it's up there. And I think there is a quicker version on IG Live as well on my Instagram channel as well, so you can have a look at it there if you like. Have a go as well. I'd love to see what you do. It's a particularly fun one to do. So this one is nearly there. We're going to start to add some features. So I've gone through the bottom of the foot and spiked him through, and then see going right through the middle of the leg all the way up. You could do this in advance before you put it on and then pin the legs on. It all depends really on how well you've stuck it together. and you can adjust the tail to get a balance as well. So we're not even properly finished yet, but he does stand up, which is a good thing. It's a real relief. When you're doing live model making, things can go wrong. I've got a slightly smaller foot on that side, so I'm going to just adjust this one and chop using this other tool. There we go. So we've had some people are enjoying the loving today. Excellent. And made the turtles blithe. And Ayres loved it. That's great to hear. Excellent. The turtles were really good fun and nice and sturdy. So I'm just going to make these toes again and adjust the feet as we go along. So trying to get your legs the same size. And this one's a little bit bigger, but I can tease that around a bit later on. Perils, as I say, of live model making. There we go. But our dinosaur is balanced, and that is a really a real relief, actually. There we go. So I'm going to use this wooden tool now. As I say, you could use a cocktail stick and add some nostrils. So I'm going to add a nostril in that side and in that side. And as I say, you could add skin patterning and all sorts. Have a look on the internet. You can see what the latest theories are about the colours of T-Rex. Or you could go purple like Barney, as that is actually one of the colours they do think he might be, which is rather interesting. And I'm going to use my cocktail stick, or you could use a pencil, and I'm going to poke him in the eye and wiggle it around and make some eye sockets. As I say, a pencil would do this just fine, but I've got these nice tools today. So try and make it nice and symmetrical, and then smooth in with your finger. Make the holes a little bit bigger than you need them to be. You can waggle that stick around and, as I say, soften those edges and then add the eyeball. In fact, a pencil will do this even better. So just get the pencil in there and then really waggle that around. So using the right tool for the job. It doesn't have to be expensive tools. George's are very reasonably priced as well. For you more mature model makers out there. Lovely. Very happy with that so far. Still standing, which is a relief. And I'm going to take some white clay. Now you could make yellow or green even, but I'm going to do white today just because it shows up well. 2 little tiny balls of clay. The Mary Rose Best says, we're loving it. It's our first time. Thank you from Molly, Toby and Sophie. Excellent. Well, hello you guys. Hope you're enjoying it, and hope you're able to follow along with us as well. So I've got a nice eyeball in there, and do send us your pictures. Whoops. You can lie them down at this stage. So the more you make it stand while it's soft, the more wobbly it's going to get. So I'm going to give my dinosaur a rest for a minute. Like I say, the perils of live model making. Why would you do it? Well, there we go. There's a nice eyeball. Make sure they're the same size. That one's a little bit big. So again, I'm going to adjust there. So we've had some quite complicated things to make really recently, with a tortoise and a dinosaur. And I wanted to go for a classic dinosaur. I was going to get very clever and make Protoceratops or something like that, or Ankylosaurus or something like that. But I thought I'll go for a classic movie dinosaur for this one. There we go. So nice eyeballs on, and I'm going to go for little black pupils. And again, nice and small. Now you could make them into slits as well if you wanted to. Make some little very reptilian style eyes, or essentially you can make up your own characters really. So I'm going to add a bit of black to the pupil. Well, is the pupil, one onto the other eyeball, like so. And I'm going to use a cocktail stick, very useful tool, and just put a little dot into the middle of the pupil like so, and on this side. There we go. Excellent stuff. So I'm just going to show you that up close now. You can see those shapes. Just spin it around so you can see a nice broad leg. Get rid of any fluff. It's easy to pick up bits of fluff along the way. You can shave those off or pull those off. Might get some off the wet wipes if you're using wet wipes as well. There we go. And those little arms. There's two little fingers on each one. Tiny little arms. But as I say, you can make it into your own dinosaur. It looks like quite a happy little chap actually. Not too terrifying a beast. And I'm going to add some claws as well. So I might go for contrast colour like the belly. So I'm going to go for some light blue, I think. So I only need a little bit, I think. So I'm going to take a little bit of this kind of light blue, which I'm also going to use for the belly patch. Now we talked a little bit about limiting the palette yesterday. I like to stick to a couple of colours. Obviously black and white you can use for the eyes anyway, but I tend to stick to 2, maybe 3 colours. And I'm making little claws for the ends of the toes. Now you could pin these on. If you flatten the end of the toe, you can add that on as well. Rest him on his tail. And make a series of claws. Not going to worry about them for the hand. You could go the same colour as well. You could put little claws on. I'm not going to worry too much at this stage. I'm just going to get them on the feet. So obviously you can do this times 6. Got 3 toes on each foot. Might want to give your hands a wipe with a wet wipe. That would be a good thing to keep your nails nice and clean as well. Don't want dirty nails on a T-Rex. Lovely. So there we go. It actually stands out rather nicely as well, I think. So I'm going to try and keep it on camera as well. So just flatten the ends of those toes and push on your claws. As I say, nice simple shapes. The simpler the better, really. You can add texture and stuff later on. Lovely. Just adding toenails on. So you can really make sure they're on, and then you can start to tease out those shapes as well. But actually, I'm feeling quite happy about these as well. The simpler the better, I think, sometimes. There we go. So tomorrow is Sloths. I'm spending a bit of time this afternoon making up a sloth shape, and I've gone for a 2-toed sloth because they have those at Bristol Zoo, and I'm rather familiar with those, so that's quite exciting. And it's a simpler shape as well, you might be pleased to know. There we go. So we've got a nice set of claws on, setting the balance for our dinosaur so he doesn't fall over. There we go, looking good. Excellent splodge design. I'm glad you like sloths. I would rather been enjoying myself this afternoon making those. Hopefully you'll enjoy that tomorrow. And it's doubly exciting tomorrow because it's the big draw for next week as well. So I think I'm going to continue to do the live sessions. I shall probably put a vote thing on tomorrow so you can decide whether you want to see more videos or more lives. And yeah, you decide. Do you know what? I am going to put little tiny claws on the ends as well. Why not? Let's do it. Hang it all. So put little tiny versions of those blue claws on this time. Excellent. I'm glad you like the claws. That's encouraging. There we go. Little blue claws. As I say, it's nice to have a contrast colour. So you could use your colour wheel and have a look at that, and put some colour theory into practice and use some contrasting colours, or look at Pokemon and see those colours as well. So little tiny ones for those tiny fingers. Make sure they're well attached again. So you could use a tool, but I'm doing this a little bit quicker. How do you store the clay once you've opened it? Good question. That is a very good question. Simply, you can either wrap it back up in its wrapper, or you can use cling film and wrap it in cling film. Or if you've got a little tub, Tupperware tub or an ice cream tub is a good way of storing it. And it will last for years, certainly for months, if you store it correctly as well. And if it does crack, you can and split into little bits, then you can just rejoin it as well. It's good. Maybe add a little bit of heat. Sometimes if it's been open for a while, using a hairdryer, similar, is a good way of reworking the clay and getting it back up to softness as well. Redistributing the oil in there is a good way of doing that. There we go, a couple of little blue claws. We'll set the arm into a position that we're happy with. That punching by the T-Rex in the face. But it will last a really, really long time, so it's rather encouraging, I think. So what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of colour to the throat. Now you could have that going all the way down, like I have on the brown one. And it's really good to get this nice and warm. And the warmer the better. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible as well. So really I should have given my hands a bit of a wipe. And I'm flattening out really super thin. Can you see how thin that is? Abby keeps face planting to the floor. And yeah, that's a bit of a question of balance. So maybe make yourself a rock, a bit of set to attach the tail to as well. And that won't happen. Just made it for the final minutes. Oh, well, you've still got some of the bits we're going to be putting teeth on as well, Tina. So yeah, I'll be posting it again tomorrow morning, the actual kind of speeded up version, and on YouTube you can see the whole thing. It's kind of a recording of this session as well. So what I'm doing is putting the clay on, Plasticine on, it's a thin sheet, and then I'm going to wrap it around, and then I'm actually going to spread the clay. You can see it will move quite nicely. I pull that up the chin, up the jaw, and wrap that around. And as I say, you can spend a bit more time trying to keep that on camera. There we go, like that. And you can see how that's spreading now. It's good that I've actually chosen a nice contrast colour, because you can see how it spreads. And you could add, you can really blend it in, or keep a nice separation of the colours along the way. You can see how it's spreading rather nicely, so you don't get under with too chunky neck. There we go. I'm going to use that tool again. So get rid of the orange, clean the orange off it, and just push that around. Like so. There we go. That makes a really nice contrast between the orange and the blue. And then we should probably add some teeth, I think. So I could spend hours playing with this and put more blue down the throats, but I'm just going to add a little bit, just drag it down a little bit for the moment. And you can see how that works. And then you could add another piece on for the belly as well. Add that on. You could add some throat spots or patination as well. So if you look at some pictures of T-Rex, it's actually got like kind of black zebra stripes on the face, this crest of feathers along the back of the head, along the tail as well. So it really was quite a highly feathered dinosaur apparently. And my other dinosaur has just become extinct through the shock. So I'm going to show you what you can do with the perils of live stuff around the throat and around the belly, under the legs, between the leg pit and down to the end of the tail as well. You can put that second tone of colour on there as well. I think that looks rather nice. So now he's shaken and fainted with the shock of the blue and not being the star of the show. I'm going to add some teeth. Now that's the tricky bit of fiddly white clay. So I've got some white clay here. Now you've got several options for this. You could add little tiny teeth, or you could make a little sausage of clay and lay that in like dentures. like so, and then you can lay that into the jaw, and then I won't do that on this one, and then create lines around like that. So you could make jaggedy teeth. Hopefully you can see that. So I'll just put that on the table, but I'm going to go for little tiny individual teeth because I just like it that way. And you can really open up the mouth if you want to. So I'm going to open up the mouth a bit more. I'm going to use that tool. It's a bit of a dentist tool as well. So a bit of dentistry. Pull the jaw down like that. Give it a good open up, open it nice and wide, and then you can start to add terrifying teeth like that. Now I'm not going to show you all of them because that will take too long, but I'll just put a few in to show you. And if you've got any questions, then now would seem a good time while we're adding little features like this to the mix, and just keep adding them. Hello Kelly, how you doing? Really nice to see you. That was a surprise. Really nice to see you. So we're busy dinosauring today, and there we go, adding in sharp set of teeth. Like so. We can work all the way round. Lots and lots of practice is what this is all down to, really. But with these simple instructions, you can make loads and loads of great stuff. So you can see just some of the creations that we're surrounded by already. It's only been, what, 4 weeks? Something like that, 4 weeks. So, so they will last really well. Do I store all the figures? Some of the test ones I will recycle and reuse the clay, and then others, most of them will stay actually. As you'll see, I've still got all of the creations I've made so far, the main creations. There we go. I've done one side on there. I'm going to do the upper set now. Now I'm really rushing this because I'm aware that you've been here a while. You've all been very patient with it. And I'm going to add in a top set as well. But as I say, you can spend a lot longer than me making this. And again, it looks really complicated, but actually very simple shapes and just simply put together. Lovely. Excellent. It looks like you're all enjoying yourselves. That's really nice. Thank you so much for joining. Lots of new people today. Fabulous. So I'm really rushing this at the moment just to show you the these I won't be making any videos with. These are just for display to give you a bit of confidence, but I'm hoping to do some more complicated videos in the coming weeks as well. There we go. I'll just put a couple more in. There we go. So we've got nice scary teeth. You can add them into the back as well. Well, you've got plenty of time to catch up, Matthew, if you're on your first carrot. There we go. Lovely. So I think that shows you enough of what you need to know, and I'm aware that I've probably kept you all long enough. So I'm going to just set my dinosaur here, hope that he doesn't fall over.